Good morning. Please welcome to the stage the chair of the USC Board of Trustees, Suzanne Nora Johnson.
Good morning and welcome to all of you. I wanted to start out our meeting today with a wonderful Albert Camus quote that a Dornsife colleague sent to me last week after we announced our new president. It said, "Real generosity to the future lies in giving all to the present." And I just wanted to say thank you because every single person in this room is giving their all. And I want you to know that the entire Board of Trustees appreciates all that you do, so thank you. Before I turn it over to our new president to provide the state of the university, I wanted to give you the last chapter on the search process, which you know we started literally a year ago in February. And a large part of the search process was the trustees' commitment that they wanted a very open discussion, dialogue, transparency with our entire Trojan community and family as to what was important for the university and what was next. There were consultation sessions that literally lasted 4 or 5 months. There were 1,000 people that signed up for those across faculty, staff, students, parents, alumni, donors, people that had nothing to do with USC but had points of view about us. And it was incredibly enlightening to us, and we just want to thank you for your generosity. We also had 8,000 people provide online feedback to us as well in a very specific way about the search. And I will tell you that the people who worked with us on the search logistically at the headhunting firm, they had said they had never seen any university where there was this much engagement, this much response and interest. So thank you for that. There are 5 people that I want to thank from the UPC campus in particular that were on the search committee: Erica Chesley, Dana Goldman, Grace Kim, Mata Mohagdam, and Jake Soul. They spent hours and hours and hours. They were the most dedicated, conscientious. They were great at challenging one another in a very civil way, in a constructive way. We all learned from each other. So there were 4 finalists in the search from the external world outside USC, and each one of them was fantastic. We learned an incredible amount about higher ed, about the way other people approach things, about ourselves. Some of them are university presidents. Some of them will be university presidents. They were fabulous. But we learned a couple of things from the search that really stuck with all of us. One is that we need to be a force field of excellence and differentiation. That is the only way we will ultimately compete. We need to increase our velocity. And that sometimes is hard when you have as big a place as we do, but we have to do it. And we need to stay unified because that is one of our clearly competitive advantages that no other university or college that we talked to had. We received overwhelming comments from all corners of the Trojan family and community that we had a champion in our midst, and that champion was Byung-Soo Kim. His leadership skills, his character, his judgment, his transparency, his commitment to continue the dialogue that we started in the consultation sessions was very, very clear. But most importantly, he was not about himself. He was only about all of us. And we will only succeed if we do it together, we do it differently, and we do it right. I want to turn it over to the next president of USC, Byung-Soo Kim.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. Suzanne, you are too generous in your comments. I can't thank you enough. The Trojan family and the university cannot thank you enough for the bar of exemplary leadership that you set and you inspire in every single person who works with you. So thank you, Suzanne. Thanks to everyone for coming this morning. It's truly an honor. This is so humbling for me. Leadership, in my view, is an immense privilege, and it's a trust. And so I stand here with the greatest humility in front of all of you about the responsibility I've been entrusted with, but also tremendous excitement about the opportunities ahead. I wouldn't have agreed, and I wouldn't have been so excited about taking on this responsibility if I didn't feel excited every single morning when I wake up about where we're going and where we can go and how we're going to get there. So let's dive in. So this is a graphic that some of you may have seen before. I've been showing it for the last 7 months. And it's just a very simple graphic that at the top you can recognize the goals of academic excellence, research impact, community impact. Of course, everything that we do has to come out of a sense of our values, institutional values, our moral values. But underneath all of that, in order for us to achieve the kind of impact that we're having and that we can have an even greater impact, we need to make sure that we have a very strong foundation. And that foundation, in my mind, consists of different things, several things. First, we need to have a really strong financial foundation. That's the way that we can continue our mission, extend our impact, and invest in our academic mission of excellence. We also need support from the Trojan family. We need that so that coming to USC gives our students immense opportunities because they join this incredible Trojan family. And we need external impact, and we need external partnership. And let's just start with the fact that our financial foundation has not been as strong as it needs to be in order for us to achieve the kinds of ambitions and impact that we all want to have. On this next slide, we just have a couple lines here. The top line shows our cash reserves over the last number of years. You can see it was as high as, I think, $1.8 million or thereabouts. And that's because we needed to fund legal settlements several years ago. It's not usually that high. But you can see the direction in which it was going. You see in the bottom chart just a depiction of our operating margin. And you can see that it's been going negative. In the most recent financial report, you saw our results from FY25 showing approximately a $200 million deficit. And the good news is that as a result of the incredibly difficult process that this community, all of us went through over the last 7 months, we are seeing tremendous progress. And this year, even though we were projecting university-wide that we would just be able to achieve a zero operating margin, a balanced budget, we're now projecting halfway through to have a margin of around $30 million. That can change throughout the course of the year. It will change throughout the course of the year, but it's a really positive indicator. Now, the goal is not to have a zero or even a $30 million margin. We need a healthier margin than that, and we've had that in the past. We need that in order to reinvest in the academic mission, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But before I talk any more about that, I want to recognize a few individuals. First of all, I want to recognize the leadership of Eric Brink and his team, David Wright, Stacy Roberts, all of the members of the senior administration, including the provost, Andrew Guzman, Dr. Steve Shapiro. I'm going to leave people out if I keep going, so I'm going to stop. I want to thank the senior business officers of the schools. I want to thank each and every dean for the leadership that they've provided. But I'm going to ask you not to applaud for any of those people, because we're just doing our job. There is one group of individuals that I am going to ask you to applaud. They are the people who are making this event happen right now. They're the people who are keeping our campus clean, safe, and beautiful. They are the people who are serving food in the dining halls and in the restaurants that we have on campus. They're the people who are helping advise students, who are making our academic units operate. Without our staff, there would be no USC, no impact, and no academic mission. And the actions that we had to take last semester fell predominantly on the staff. And I would love it for us to all recognize, all the non-staff members here in the audience, the incredible importance and contributions of the staff of USC. There's more good news, more reasons to be optimistic. This is a slide just showing our advancement. This doesn't include CHLA. I want to thank Scott Rabinold, Senior Vice President for Advancement, and his entire mighty team for the work that they've been doing this last year. It's been difficult, frankly, it is often difficult during an interim period to continue with fundraising, and I'm very pleased that we have so many exciting things happening at our university that we've been able to keep it going and are projecting to have one of our strongest years, maybe our strongest year ever in advancement. This shows where we are, trending ahead of where we were last year in terms of fundraising and cash. And at the same time, our endowment has been performing well. We always take a very long-term and prudent approach with respect to our endowment. And you can see that over the last several years, it's increased in the order of $2 billion. And I want to thank our incredible Chief Investment Officer, Amy Diamond, for the work that she and her team do to make sure that we have the financial strength to support our mission. And we got to keep growing this endowment, of course, in order for us to be able to do even more great things going forward. This is a slide showing the research expenditures that we've been experiencing over the last several years. And this is a great story. Even with all of the volatility that we've been experiencing in the federal research environment, we've still been able to keep our overall research expenditures very strong. I want to again thank the deans in particular, but I also want to thank the Senior Vice President for Research, Ishwar Puri, and his team, who I'm meeting with later today. Thank you for really doing so much, not just to make sure that we're handling compliance and all of those things well, but that we are chasing opportunities in research that are having a real impact on our society. So this is a lot of good news. And we'll get to some other challenges in a minute, but I wanted to share a couple things. As a result of all of these positive developments, I am very pleased to announce that this year, starting in FY27, there will be a merit pool. And moreover, I know that a lot of people have been asking questions about the supplemental travel policy that we put in place, and that has been very effective in saving the university almost $10 million. Now, that policy has also created some friction and concern about whether it's actually the best way to go, and we're always looking at these interim policies to see how we can make them better, and we're going to continue doing that. But just as one small tweak, Eric, I think it's okay if I make it effective right now. We're going to be exempting from the supplemental travel policy any travel expenses that are directly covered by a grant, a sponsor, or a gift agreement. So I hope that makes your jobs a little bit easier, and we're going to continue looking to see how we can refine these policies to make them more effective. So the challenge in front of us is multiple. And even though we've been outperforming, I think, the conditions that we're in right now, there's still a lot of headwinds that we're experiencing. Just with respect to research funding, for example, we've been keeping our overall expenditures healthy, but there's continues to be, and there's good news with respect to the appropriations process that looks like it's going to be funding NSF and NIH at previous or even higher levels. So that's great news, but we don't know what's going to happen after that. There's still substantial questions about the indirect cost reimbursement rate. And USC is dependent, I think, in the order of 70% reliance on federal funding. Not only that, we are more reliant on fewer professors and principal PIs than our peer universities in terms of how much we rely on them to bring in most of the research dollars. So there are risks, and we need to think very thoughtfully, intentionally about how we manage those risks. There are concerns that we all need to be thinking about in terms of enrollment. This year, international enrollment was not significantly affected, but we are going to see more significant impacts in this next year. We're seeing other enrollment challenges with respect to some of our graduate programs. Our first-year applications continue to be very, very strong. But you can see in this chart, there was a small drop this last year compared to the last 2 or 3 years in terms of undergraduate applications. Now, the good news is that the pool of applicants is as strong as it's ever been, maybe the strongest ever. But we are an institution that is highly dependent on undergraduate and graduate enrollment and tuition, and we need to make sure that we are maintaining and innovating to have the very best academic programs that are going to attract people from across the world to come to USC. And there are more challenges that we can talk about. Challenges about just in the form of cynicism about higher education and about our mission. Challenges relating to political polarization that we're seeing across the country. And so the question that I wake up asking myself is, with all of these challenges, we've made a lot of progress, but with all of the headwinds that we're still experiencing, what are the opportunities for USC not just to tread water, not just to kind of keep pace, but to actually leap ahead and extend our impact? That is the goal. That is the goal. And I'm an optimist by nature, and so I am 1,000% confident that we can do it, as Suzanne said, together. I don't have all the answers, but I want to offer a few thoughts. And before I do that, I wanted to just kind of show this little 2x2. And it's kind of a useful reminder of how many questions there are about what's going to be unfolding over the next 5 and 10 years. This is just focusing on AI, and you see in the vertical axis, you see how AI is going to impact the world of work. No one knows, right? And you've read all of the scenarios, so I don't need to repeat them, but there's a spectrum of possibilities, and at the top of that vertical axis, it looks pretty scary in terms of what jobs there are going to be available 5, 10 years out. Along the horizontal axis, you see the policy context. I think that's a little bit of a euphemism, but I think you can understand what that's getting at. All of the regulatory changes that we've been experiencing, are those going to continue? Are they going to amplify? Or is there going to be some kind of reversion back to the way things were before? And then you see the different boxes here. In the lower left-hand corner, maybe this is all just a passing storm. Maybe there are just going to be new rules, but new tools. Maybe they're going to be, and maybe it's in the upper right-hand corner, you can see maybe there'll be a total eclipse. No one knows what box we're going to be in 10 years from now. But what I believe and what the leadership team, I think, understands is, and all of us need to understand is, if we're not actively preparing for every single one of these potential scenarios right now, we're not doing our jobs. Because if we're not going to start preparing now, there's no question that no matter what box we end up in, we're going to be behind, and we want to be ahead. So I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. And so I'm not going to give you some comprehensive strategy or plan. And the reason I'm not going to do that is because I want to hear more from you. I want to listen to your perspectives, draw from your expertise, and think together as a community about how we're going to, as I said, not just tread water, not just keep up, but actually leap ahead and extend our impact, as I believe we have the opportunity to do. Although I don't have the answers, these are 5 things, which you're probably scratching your head about, what is he even talking about, that I believe we need to think about and focus on. So partnership, innovation, collaboration, operational excellence, and focus. I pronounce it pick-off, trying to evoke the baseball play where the pitcher, gets the base runner at first base out when he's getting too far away from first base. Requires a lot of agility, teamwork, coordination, but I'll just stop the analogy right there. But these are the areas that I think that or the things that we really need to think about. I'm going to not necessarily start in this order, go in the order of what you see. I'm going to start with operational excellence. Operational excellence is not the most exciting thing that most people wake up wanting to work on. But here's a picture. This is a Rube Goldberg sketch. You can't see the bottom, but he's basically, this is a self-folding napkin that he's working on with this machine. Maybe there's an easier way to fold the napkin. That's what we need to think about. It's not super, maybe as interesting as some of the research that some of you are doing, but to me, my job is to make sure that we are as operationally excellent and efficient and strong as we can be. We may not have the same endowment as other universities. We may not have some of the other natural advantages that other universities have. But there's no reason that all of us together can't show up to work, show up to our jobs with the right attitude and the right spirit of can-do teamwork and make USC the most operationally excellent university in the world. I know it sounds like an absolutely crazy challenge, given how many different schools we have and different functions and different places and how large we are. But if we can do this, I think it'd be amazing. And the truth is that we have a lot of processes, we have a lot of rules, we have a lot of assessments that have been in place for many, many years or decades. And no one's actually said, let's take a look at whether we can build a better mousetrap than what we have. That's something that the leadership team and the deans and I have started to work on, and we're really excited about doing this work. The second thing I want to talk about, and it's so important, is collaboration. And I know everyone talks about collaboration, but collaboration is truly central to so many of the things that we want to do. If you go back to our mission statement, collaboration is right there in the phrase that President Sample came up with. The integration of liberal and professional learning is one of USC's special strengths. Note the word integration. He doesn't say liberal and professional learning are each important to USC. It says the integration is one of USC's special strengths. We see that in the academic programs. Gordon Bellamy's here, and so he knows all about our gaming program between Viterbi and Cinema. But this is an LA Times article highlighting Zach Steele's work on the comedy program at SDA, School of Dramatic Arts. And it's such a great article. The LA Times reporter could have focused on the fact that we have this comedy program and we train stand-up comics and all that. But instead, what the author focused on was the fact that you can be an engineer or an English major or a business major or any kind of major, and you can take a minor in comedy. And if you think about it, if you think about the power of being able to walk into a professional setting, any kind of professional setting, and make people laugh and exhibit the kind of skills of listening and timing and attentiveness that's required to really kind of engage with people in a way that brings them together with what you're trying to achieve. It's an incredible opportunity, and it's such a wonderful example of integrating liberal and professional learning. Of course, we see it in the educational side, but we also see it in the research. This is just a recent article that came out about the Clinical Trial Recruitment Lab. This is an incredible little initiative, or not little, but designed to think about how we can accelerate Alzheimer's, in particular, clinical trials, so that it doesn't take so long to go from the lab to the clinic. And again, it's thanks to Dana Goldman at the Schaefer Center and also Paul Asen at the ATRI, the Alzheimer's Therapeutic Research Institute, for coming together to actually provide funding to researchers outside USC who have great ideas for how they can advance this. We have many, many examples of faculty members, researchers, connecting with each other across schools. And it's beautiful when it happens. And of course, they co-author papers, and that kind of team science approach is so important to really getting the impact that we want to have, getting the funding for that impact. But there's more, I believe, that we can do from a university standpoint to encourage that kind of collaboration centrally. This is just an example of one recent example that was just announced a few weeks ago of a stem cell engineering center. Megan McCain in biomedical engineering is going to be moving to UPC so that she can be on the same floor as 4 other PIs with their labs. She'll be working with Chuck Murray, Peter Wang in KSOM and the chair of the biomedical engineering department, and really sharing resources and thinking about stem cell as not just a biological challenge, but an engineering challenge. Just one example of the way that we can try to support integrated and collaborative research in areas that are of critical importance to not just USC, but to the world. And I again want to thank Dr. Ishwar Puri for helping really kind of architect these kinds of arrangements. Innovation is also something that we all have to think about. And again, it's not something that is new. It's something that if you go back to the mission statement, you see statements about. We're proud that we're a private university strongly committed to academic freedom, and proud of our entrepreneurial heritage right there. We had an AI summit last semester, and what was great to me about the AI summit was not that we got a lot of great speakers to come. The best part of the AI summit to me was that we were able to spotlight so many faculty and staff members who are using AI and thinking about how to use AI in interesting, fruitful, and ethical ways. And the range of presentations was super impressive. And I can't thank Dean Jeffrey Garrett enough for leading this AI strategy committee. And what I want to say is that I think that this is going to be a difficult kind of journey that we're on with respect to AI. And there are a lot of different viewpoints with respect to how to use it in operations and research in the classroom, and a lot of disagreement. And what the AI Strategy Committee is trying to do is actually listen to and receive all of those differing perspectives. That's why you'll see or have seen the email going out inviting you to participate in sessions with members of the AI Strategy Committee. That's why we have members of the AI Strategy Committee who are not experts in coding or generative AI. They might be artists, but everyone is going to be impacted. We don't know exactly how, if you go back to that 2x2 box or chart that we saw, but everyone's going to be impacted. And what I wanted to do more than anything else is get the entire community thinking about this challenge together, not mandating, not directing, not coercing. Get everyone thinking, and that's happening. I will share with you, with all that said, my own personal bias. The AI Strategy Committee will be coming out with their recommendations in the next few months, but I have a personal bias here. And I share it, I think, with Daniela Omadai, the president of Anthropic. She was interviewed the other day. She was an English major at UC Santa Cruz, who also studied, I think, politics and music. But she was an English major, and she was asked by an interviewer, so do you regret majoring in English? As the president of Anthropic, don't you wish you had majored in something that was more relevant to your work? And she answered very clearly. She said, with all of the advances in AI, the ability to think critically, to interpret text, to deal with ambiguity, and to understand the human condition, those qualities, those skills, those traits are going to be more important than they ever have been in our world. That's my bias. I think that we need to, of course, make sure that our students have the lifelong skills that they need to keep up with this technology and whatever other technology is coming, but we've got to always remember the central importance of teaching critical thinking, and I think that the humanities, personally, are an amazing, amazing way to do that. So if any of you are English majors or thinking about majoring in English, please feel very, very good about yourselves. Okay. Partnership. Partnership is so multifaceted, and we've got to do more of it. I think if the last 7 months have really kind of taught us anything, it's that every university can't just view themselves as their own islands. We are part of a collective enterprise, a collective mission, and for USC, I have a real, I'm very focused on how do we do things better with great partners. And I think that there are so many opportunities that we have being based here in this great city of Los Angeles, the city that I grew up in and I love and care about so much. With everything that's going to be happening in athletics here in Los Angeles over the next few years, from the World Cup later this year to the the Super Bowl, to the Olympics in 28. This is our opportunity to clearly put a stake in the ground as the sports capital of the world. And I'm so proud of Dean Willoughby, Dean Garrett, Dean Daly. I was just having dinner with her last night. I saw you somewhere, Elizabeth, and we were talking about the opportunities that we've already been capitalizing in between cinema and athletics in terms of sports documentaries and whatnot. There's so many opportunities for us to, again, that word, partner with sports teams here in Los Angeles, partner with LA 28, and truly claim our legacy and our destiny, I think, as the sports capital of the world. And it's so exciting to see the academic programming that's going to be developing over the next few years. The arts deans themselves are getting together and thinking about how we can do an Arts Now initiative that is really focused on the LA 28 games that are going to be coming up. So very exciting, more to come. And speaking of the Super Bowl, I hope that we can see our, well, whether you're a Seahawks fan or not, it would be very cool to have Sam Darnold coming back to Los Angeles, to USC, as our first USC quarterback to ever start and win the Super Bowl. So let's have some applause for that. Sports is just one opportunity where we have the industry, we have the talent, we have the academic programs and the leadership to really bring it all together. Other examples are commercial and private space. Again, we've seen, and this is an article actually from, I think, a number of years ago, a real renaissance in terms of private and commercial space in the South Bay after so much of the defense industry moved out of Los Angeles. Again, a tremendous opportunity for USC with our aeronautics expertise and talent in the Viterbi School, and really researchers across the university thinking about this. If you trace the number of alumni who have worked at SpaceX, who are at another company in this area, I'm pretty confident that it is second to none in terms of our alumni presence in this important and emerging industry. So thinking about the opportunities for USC to really be at the center of this burgeoning industry, bringing our academic and research expertise to bear, creating job pipelines for our students. We're already, I think, the second most represented school, only after MIT, who are getting engineering jobs at SpaceX. So very excited about continuing to work on these private sector, private industry partnerships, and want to thank Andy Wilson and Dr. Puri for their leadership in really optimizing and maximizing these private industry sector partnerships with USC. Partnership comes in many different flavors. And again, going back to the mission statement, President Sample talks about partnership with surrounding neighborhoods and partnerships across the globe, public leadership in all these important areas. And I'm so excited to learn every single week about more partnerships that we're doing with our surrounding community. This is just one example, Shade LA. We know, based on our research, that people suffer heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and die because of the climate change, because of what's happening with respect to, and just being in Los Angeles, a city that has less shade from trees and other artificial structures than other cities. And so was so proud that as part of the Dornsife Public Exchange Program, we're partnering with UCLA, we're partnering with government agencies to identify in a very granular level, block by block, where Los Angelenos need more shade, and coming up with solutions to provide that shade and have a real public health impact going forward, just in time for the Olympics. Just the other day, the marching band, the greatest marching band in the history of the universe, I guess there's no one here to say ever, but we were at the MLK parade, and I was there. It was so fun watching the students be part of this neighboring community that's so important to us. It's the fourth year, I think, in a row that they've come, and people loved it. People loved it. There were no Bruins there. It was all USC. It was amazing, and in a couple months, I think we're going to be opening up a pharmacy, thanks to the Mann School, thanks to so much leadership and initiative in South Los Angeles, an area where there's a pharmacy desert. And being able to kind of provide those kinds of services to our surrounding community are so important. And I just want to thank Sam Garrison, the Senior Vice President for University Relations, and his mighty team for their incredible leadership in bringing back a real community engagement strategy where we are not just part of the community, but we are helping lead all of the different community organizations in making Los Angeles the great city that it absolutely can be and is. So thank you, Sam, for thinking about how we can do more research impacting the community, how we can partner with the community more in so many different areas, educationally, through the Neighborhood Academic Initiative, and in so many other ways. So thank you, Sam, for your leadership. Oh, there he is. One of the most important partnerships, of course, is with our incredible alumni. And again, the mission statement talks about the extraordinary gift of the Trojan family. Show of hands, how many of you all in the audience are alumni? Amazing. And I saw a couple folks walking in this morning who don't work at USC, but who just came to be part of this incredible event. We have the best alumni, the best Trojan family, of course, in the entire world, bar none. And it's not just in Los Angeles, Orange County, San Francisco, it's across the entire world. I've experienced when I've left the country, and it's just extraordinary how incredibly tight-knit it is. And it is such a gift to have such a Trojan family that's so strong. And it's a gift for many different reasons. It's a gift because, of course, many of them are generous in many different ways, financially, but also in terms of serving the university, in terms of helping other Trojans. And one of the things that we want to be focused on is how do we make it even easier for Trojans to help Trojans? That's always going to be a critical differentiator about the value of a USC education, and we need to make sure that that value is even higher. And so to all of the alumni in the room, I want to say thank you for coming, and thank you for everything you do to support USC and our students. And I have to say, the feeling that I have is that the Trojan family has never felt stronger and more united. In the spring, we're going to try something. And again, I want to give a shout out to Scott and Erica, our amazing Alumni Association leader. We're going to have an alumni event in the spring that is not just going to be focused on athletics and football, but is actually going to give alumni an opportunity to hear about the incredible research that we're doing. We're going to give alumni an opportunity to get to know each other better because when you graduate from USC, we need to make sure we're doing everything we can to get you a job. But we also need to make sure that if you're making a career pivot, midway through your career, that you can rely on the strength of the Trojan family and network to get ideas, to get help. And so really excited about trying this new alumni event that will exist in addition to the event that we have in the fall. Okay, the last thing, and I want to be sensitive to time here, is focus. Focus. Again, I go back to our mission statement. Our first priority as faculty and staff is the education of our students and providing programs of the first rank. I was speaking with Arusia Gabrieli on my faculty advisory committee, and we were talking about well, we all like to believe that we're great teachers, but how do we know that? It's hard to measure. The student evaluations aren't always that helpful in terms of measuring teaching excellence as opposed to how easy a grader you are, right? So we need to think hard about this. But one thing that really kind of speaks for itself is the outcomes of our students. This is a recent news item about the number of Fulbright scholars that we produce at USC. It's extraordinary. And you would get such a kick reading, as I did recently, about what some of the things they're going to be studying. Trilingual education systems in Spain, researching leukemia at the Max Planck Institute for Molecular Genetics, researching sustainable fashion in Cambodia. How cool is that? So, so proud of the students, and I know how much faculty go the extra mile to provide this distinctive, special educational experience that students remember for their entire lives. I can't tell you how many alumni I've met who will bring me back in time to their sophomore economics teacher or teacher in some other subject and talk about how that professor really changed their lives. And I think one of the opportunities for us in terms of focus is how do we make sure that we're continuing to provide that amazing educational experience for our students. I want to talk a little bit, and again, want to just own my biases as someone who dabbles in music. Just another example of student outcomes. Look at how we dominate the Grammys. I think that we had 5 winners, 27 nominations. Similarly, with respect to the Academy Awards, 16 nominations for Sinners. And if you didn't hear my convocation story from the fall, that's Ludwig Göransson and Ryan Coogler, of course. People who couldn't be different. One was from Sweden, one was from Oakland. They meet at a frat party, and they start talking about, they have nothing in common. They don't look alike, and they start talking, and they realize, oh, they actually have a shared interest in music and movies. And so they end up doing some work together in our incredible cinematic arts school, and they have since become the greatest creative partnership, or one of the greatest creative partnerships in Hollywood. Ludwig Göransson, of course, as the composer for Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and of course Sinners. It's just amazing to think not just about the achievements of both of them as individuals, as great creative artists, but what they were able to accomplish as a result of the relationship they formed and developed here at USC. We need to focus also on our research mission. This is just one example of a news item from a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was from last year, but to me, it brings together so much of what we've been talking about. This is a project that's using AI to identify variables in community resilience after the wildfires. And then in a second study, the researchers are going to develop a tool so that they can basically help communities, irrespective of wildfires, measure their community resilience when there are natural disasters. And there are 4 schools that were involved. The Dweck Peck School of Social Work, Viterbi, Marshall, and Dornsife. And again, kudos to Michelle Barak, Bistro del Quina in Viterbi, they're the primary investigators, for doing this kind of work that is not just really interesting and it involves the latest in machine learning, but also is going to have a real impact on our society. I want to start wrapping up, and I want to ask you this question: why? Pick off. Well, why should we do all of this? The partnership, the innovation, the collaboration, the operational excellence, the focus. Why is it worth it? And of course, part of the answer is that it's worth it because we all love USC. But I want to share something with you that may or may not surprise you. When I wake up in the morning, of course I'm thinking every single moment, like, how do I advance USC? How do we leap ahead during this time when there are so many challenges that we're experiencing? And I think we can do that. But my why is actually not just about USC. I look at the world that we all are looking at, and it's an amazing world, but it's filled with so many challenges, from disease to our aging population, to political polarization, to loneliness, and a lack of meaningfulness and spiritual centeredness that we see across so much of a society. And I look at the incredible talent at USC. I think about the incredible resources and assets of USC. And I don't believe there's a university that's better positioned to lead in addressing some of our world's greatest challenges through all of the work we're doing around political polarization, civic dialogue, all of the incredible work that is happening at the Health Sciences campus, where we are doing work at USC that promises to develop a cure for Alzheimer's, for Parkinson's, for blindness, for cancer. I can't thank you enough, but that's what motivates me. And believe me, all of the accolades for USC, that will come along naturally when we broaden our frame and we think not just how do we advance USC, but how do we bring our incredible resources to bear to address these incredible problems. I want to end with just a few thoughts about the last 7 months. There are some things that I've learned about this community that have frankly surprised me to a degree. The first thing is that this community really, really responds when leadership is open and transparent and provides information and just stands in front of you and asks for help. And it's just been absolutely remarkable seeing the community come together during such a difficult period of time. The second thing I've learned is that this community has amazing expertise and ideas. And it's incumbent upon the leadership and the deans to try to make sure that we're gathering all of those ideas and perspectives so that we can really make the best decisions that we can. I'll share with you, I didn't see it myself, but there are some faculty members who I think were outside, I don't know if they're protesting, but expressing their point of view on issues. And I don't know exactly what the sign said. That's great. We're a university. We should treasure open dialogue like that. So I want to thank everyone for creating that kind of environment where we can support different ideas, even if we disagree with them. And the third thing I will say about what I've learned is that when the community comes together, we can truly do impossible things. We can do impossible things together. That's, I think, what happened last semester. We did the impossible, and we're so much better off for it. I want to end by just saying, again, that leadership is a huge privilege. And in terms of my commitment to each and every single one of you, it's number one, everything we do has to start with ethics and integrity. I shouldn't even need to say that, but I'm going to say it anyway. It has to be the starting point of every single thing that every one of us does. The second thing is I am committing right now to continuing to listen to you. And I'm saying that not because I think you want to hear it. I'm saying that because I need your ideas. I need your perspectives. I need your experience in order for us to do the impossible things and leap ahead in the way that I know that we can. And the third thing, and I guess Suzanne knows me pretty well at this point, is this job is not about me. This job is about all of you. And my commitment is to always put the long-term mission and interests of the university first and foremost over everything else, including myself. Thank you so much for the privilege of being here. Okay, I can't wait for this day to be over. That's, for those of you who know me, that's my worst nightmare just now. Let's get to open dialogue. Let's get to some questions. I'm sorry I took a little bit more time than I wanted, but if people need to leave, you guys have important work to do. So please don't worry about it. But there are microphones here at the front and on top. And we can try to take a few. And then I'd love to join you afterwards for some breakfast burritos.
Our first question from the balcony.
Hi, thank you so much for all of you've done for the university in the last 7 months. My name is Priscilla. I'm a postdoc fellow. I just have a question for you. So you brought up how USC research and academic excellence are supported by the Trojan family, financial planning, and communication. How will the university live up to these values by supporting postdocs and returning to bargaining, including jointly agreeing on a mediator through open communication?
Great. Thank you for that question. So we are absolutely committed to bargaining in good faith, of course. And there are some outstanding issues with respect to that we're still waiting for the NLRB to resolve with respect to the ability of certain members of our community to form a union. I know that what I just said and this topic is a controversial one, but however that process resolves, my commitment is this. I know that the postdocs are doing incredibly important work. I know that Los Angeles is an incredibly expensive city to live in. I really do get it. And I want to make sure, what I'm focused on is how do we make sure that we have the financial strength not only to advance our mission academically, but to invest in the people through compensation that are going to be, and the talent that are going to be necessary to do that. So that's my response to that, and I really thank you for asking the question.
Thank you.
Our next question is from our Zoom audience. President Kim, it should be on your monitor there on stage.
Oh, I am so sorry. What is the plan for continued research excellence given the cuts in federal funding? So we have been really outperforming with respect to our research expenditures, but I don't want to in any way suggest that we're not still concerned, because we have seen changes and shifts in what the federal government is funding, and that has frankly left a number of our researchers in a very difficult position where they're no longer receiving funding. So that's difficult. We need to figure out that. So what we're doing is, first we're advocating as part of a group of other universities to make sure that we're going to continue getting an appropriate reimbursement rate for our research. We've got to also think about how we can diversify our funding sources so that we're not just reliant on the federal government. And there are foundations, there are other forms of government, there are private sector partners that I think that we can look to. And here's the last thing I'm going to say, because again, I always want to be really candid with you. We don't know whether things are going to shift back. And going back to the issue of focus, we need to make sure that we're focused on the things that we can sustain and that we can be excellent at. And what focus means is that sometimes we may need to make hard decisions as a community over where we're going to be focusing our research collaborations and partnerships. So I just want to be honest with you. The best decision or the worst decision is making no decision. And again, that's what it means to, I think, kind of accept the weight of responsibility. And not everyone's going to disagree, but we've got to be focused in the areas where we can be the best.
Okay. Thank you for your time, President Kim. I'm Michael Kasimoff, two-time USC alumni and GIS program specialist from USC Facilities Planning and Management CAD Services Department. One particular thing that you mentioned which interested me was the notion of innovating to be ahead of predicted changes. So a large part of what facilities planning and management does is maintenance, which is a form of addressing predicted problems before they become real problems. So my actual question is this. From your perspective, in what way do you believe FPM can innovate to continue providing a great campus for students, faculty, staff, and their surrounding community? So the question, it not only serves as a way of receiving feedback from university top leadership, but also to let you know that FPM employees and leadership are motivated in continuing to serve all of our university customers.
Thank you very much. And I know how motivated you are, believe me. I see the work led by Chris Toomey, and I'm so grateful for everything you do. I have some ideas, right? But actually what I would love is for you to go back and talk to colleagues and come up with ideas for how we might be able to do things differently, how we might be able to make a self-folding napkin without the huge Rube Goldberg machine that we might have now. So, and really that's an encouragement to all of you to just think about, okay, we've been doing things the same way for 10 years, whether it's contracting or inspections or reviews, and what are the opportunities that we have to think about doing this differently? And as part of that innovation process, I want to say something that I think is important. There are things that we're going to try out that are going to not work, that are going to fail. And fortunately, we have many scientists in this university that can attest that's actually how you make progress. So let's not just lean into innovation. Let's embrace the possibility of failure as a way of kind of moving forward and doing things differently. So I know that's general, but I look forward to hearing more from Chris and you about some of the innovation that you can bring to FPM. Thanks.
We have time for one last question from the balcony.
Good morning, President Kim. Before I get into my question, I just want to say I really appreciate your leadership. My name is Zaran. I'm an undergraduate student here, and I'm also a senator in the undergraduate student government. My question is in regards to a merit-based scholarship to replace the Academic Achievement Award. So this is something that was phased out, at the beginning of this academic year. And my question is, are there any ideas that are being put forth in terms of something to potentially replace the gap that the removal of the Academic Achievement Award has created? And if not, if you'd be open to working with me and other people in the undergraduate student government on developing some sort of criteria for some sort of award in the future?
Yeah, great question. So there's a history here, and I won't go into the whole history, but I believe it was President Sample who actually helped to architect some of these merit scholarship programs as a way of really kind of advancing USC's academic mission. And it was extraordinarily successful. And as I was mentioning, you can see the results in terms of the outcomes of the students, the awards that they win, and what they go on to do in their different careers. And again, just to be completely candid, we needed to make some really hard decisions during the period last semester and make some really hard trade-offs between things like merit scholarships and being able to continue providing the financial aid that we want to provide. So let me end by saying a couple things. Number one, the quality of our students, the students who are applying, the students that matriculate, the students that then graduate, it's absolutely critical to creating the kind of virtuous cycle of academic excellence that we're all going for. So we got to keep our eyes on that ball. The second thing is I would absolutely welcome your input, and I know Provost Guzman would as well. He's the one who's really been kind of trying to do the very difficult work of balancing all of these different considerations, all towards making sure we have that academic excellence. So I have your name, and we'll be talking. Thank you, everyone, so much for coming, and enjoy it.